Renata, welcome to the Bitcoin Source. Can we start things off by you introducing yourself to the world and to the audience?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Yes, my name is Renata Rodrigues. I'm head of marketing and community at FEDI. Not an OG on Bitcoin, but like since 2019, working in this space and loving every second of this.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. So, Renata, on the Bitcoin Source, I usually always ask people this question. The first question I do want to ask you is, where did you source your Bitcoin knowledge, whether it was from books, courses, or even people in the Bitcoin ecosystem that helped you to become a better Bitcoiner?
So first of all, my source is people on the streets. So in fact, I was orange pilled by the people that uses Bitcoin in their daily lives, people that changed their lives with Bitcoin as well. So I had the opportunity, the amazing opportunity to travel to Colombia in my first month working in Bitcoin and meeting like users, people that use this in the daily basis. And they taught me a lot, like a lot about the value of the currency and not just the price. And I was lucky enough to understand from them and understand that real people that are using Bitcoin on the streets are the best source that we can have about the innovation around the currency, as well as the power of the currency. But of course, there are like super great people around the globe that also validates that knowledge, such as I love everything that Alex Gladstein from HRF writes. He has really a sharp eyes on material that he writes. Anita Posch, for me, it's one of my loved ones on Bitcoin because she also has this super eye on the streets. So she combined a lot of knowledge as well as like the knowledge of the streets with the knowledge of the Bitcoin thinking as an OG. I don't know. There are like really great people in our ecosystem, OGs. Even I have the lucky to work with Obi, who is one of the OGs on Bitcoin space. And just by talking with him, I learn a lot on Bitcoin. So yes, we have like really great people in our ecosystem teaching us about the value of this amazing currency.
Definitely. And I love that, you get it from the source, you get it from the streets, you get it from the people where it matters the most and where Bitcoin is the most important, which is that peer-to-peer transaction where people are sending remittances, for example, or just payments for products and services. And this kind of segues into my second question, which is talking about the global south, which you have a very particular stake in. Countries like Venezuela, Argentina have seen massive inflation and the destruction of their purchasing power. So how has Bitcoin helped you send money to your family in Brazil?
So basically, yes, it was funny though, because as I said, people in the streets taught me about it, right? So about remittance. And we use it, my mom and I, we used to have like each of us a notebook. So everything that I would do for her here, buy something for her. I live right now in Vancouver, but I've been moving around since 15 years. And so I would take notes what she wants me to buy for her, and she would take a notebook as well with notes of that. And some point I would try to send through Western Union or the traditional ways. And then I realized that the cost of this is super high because we think on the fees, but we don't think on the exchange rates that they give to us as well, right? So I realized, for example, if I would send $25 to my mom, I would pay around $8 just in fees and exchange rate. And then I learned about the peer-to-peer relationship that you can have with people around the globe. I love to say this as well. I learned that Bitcoin is a sort of translator of different currencies. So as long as you jump in Bitcoin, you can access the whole world, right? So then I start to, first, what I would do is just I would sell my Bitcoin to someone in Brazil and this person would pay my mom. And the advantage of this, I would give a margin on the top of my Bitcoin. So now instead of paying a fee, I would make a profit by sending money. Then Lightning Network came super strong. And this also helped my life a lot because then I could do more instantly. And then I did the best one after 1 year trying to, I orange pill my mom. So she became also someone that would receive or buy and sell Bitcoin. And every time she would need, she would like exchange or sell to someone. And so then right now we send Bitcoin to each other. And I think, I mean, my mom is 65. So if she can be orange pilled like that, I totally believe that everyone can do this, you know. We just need the great tools to help people to do this like in a very easy way, very smooth way, basically.
Yeah, I love that story. And, I'm first generation, so my family are immigrants to this country as well. And it's just super important to tell people, to let people know that what makes Bitcoin unique, especially the Lightning Network, is speed. The faster you can transact, the less you pay, or you don't pay at all for fees because it's touching less hands. And I think that just using a cell phone or the access to the internet is so interesting and beautiful to see how we can send money to our loved ones, to our family members, thousands of miles away through the power of Bitcoin. So thank you, Renata, for that story. That was beautiful.
Now, and it's funny though, because I remember one of my first times traveling to El Salvador. I met this lady that immigrated to US like illegally. She stays like 10 years without seeing her kid that was back home with her mom. And she was telling me how she would send money back home, right? So in her case, and I think it's the most of the cases of immigrants like myself, they would have put together a big amount of money and send in one shot. So of course, this would take like 3 months, 4 months to send, but at least they would save on fees. And when I was explaining to her about the magic of Lightning Network, she was like, oh, that's amazing, because now if my mom wants to do groceries or if she wants to buy candies for my son, I can send immediately and pay like really ridiculous fees. So it's, in case of El Salvador, it was like even for free, but it's just amazing. It's mind blowing how this can be done like super fast for everyone. For me, that's the key point of this is, it's not an exclusivity for the rich people or the people that has a good system of banking or financial system. It's for every single person in this world. It's just like amazing.
Exactly. And, there was something that I wanted to give you props on as well, which is, I've recently seen you at Bitfinex as a host, and I really love to see women in the space kind of getting their shine and being able to talk to some of the most smart and creative minds in Bitcoin. I know that you have a very particular stake in that, and you're trying to really help through the company that you work for now, FEDI. So my question to you, Renata, is, how impactful has learning from that conference, talking to people, has been for you to understand the adoption of Bitcoin in Africa?
I mean, Africa is something that I always say this, like for me, the revolution and the innovation of Bitcoin is coming from bottom up. So because it's a need, right? And as Africans and Latin people and people from global South, what we do basically, we get the tools and try to tweak the tools by what you need, because it's a need. It's not like because we are fancying on creating things around the globe, And I've been working with Africa already like more than 3 years, and traveling around and discovering like such amazing, innovative style or ways to create things and to use money through Bitcoin. For me, like talk with the guys at Adopting Bitcoin was more about sharing how amazing they are in their countries. For example, we have the people from Manchukuo that is developing the ways that you can buy and sell Bitcoin offline, like with a really regular phone, not a smartphone. For me, it's like makes totally sense with the condition of the country. and how they are open already to pay and receive money through phone, in a regular phone. So it's just because they know that this is already available. They just created this amazing tool for that. I mean, Berna Para, that is already like in the ecosystem for a long time, trying to bring the likes of remittance as well to Nigerians, which is like Nigerians and Ghanaians. I mean, they want to bring to the whole Africa, Kenya as well. But it's just amazing how he's been building handmade for Africa in terms of tools and apps. In the fact that he's a genius, and with Abu Bakr creating the Kala, which is the project that they want to improve and also bring more developers from the country, from the region, into our ecosystem, which makes totally sense because they understand way better the conditions of Bitcoin in their countries and how Bitcoin can help them in this matter. Also talking with Herman Vivier, which is a great friend as well, who's been like such amazing job with Bitcoin Ekazi. A person that is really devoted to bring the best for people in his community. All of them, people that is gonna work with us some point. So it's just like being between friends, but also bringing the visibility from Africa, you know. And also I had the chance to talk with someone that I didn't have the chance to meet before, which is Yamin Tiba. He's from Cameroon, and he's been doing something that we don't see that much in our space, which is bringing the thinking behind Bitcoin in terms of society, philosophy, right? We are very practical because it's money, but we don't realize the impact that Bitcoin can bring to our way, to the way we think about not just money, but as a society, right? We are preparing I totally believe that we are preparing a new type of human species that are more powerful and trust more in the others. So it was amazing. And it was amazing to see the people, the audience, like being surprised about how big these guys are and how big they're gonna be, even more, like more people like them in our ecosystem. I'm seeing this already happening, and I'm glad to give the voice to that as well.
And I think that, there's just so many people in Africa that are just using solar, trying to find ways to use the Lightning Network, remittances, to really change the way that they live and transact financially. So it's just a huge and beautiful thing to see. And Obi, for example, at FEDI, I love what he's doing. And I love that he brought you on board to kind of really help push this community-based thought process around Bitcoin. And my question to you is that, how do you think that Bitcoin can be kind of pushed more as a community-based currency versus something to just make money off?
I mean, we, especially Global South, we live as a community, right? Even the money, I know in Africa, India, Brazil, we have this thing about like, okay, let's get together, we're going to put the money together in this turn, someone takes the money. Or if I give you, I lend you money, we lend money and borrow money within ourselves as a community. So this, first of all, this is a very familiar thing for communities, right? Secondly, you probably had the same situation. I had a lot, like our parents or people that doesn't have that much knowledge around Bitcoin or technology coming to you, helping you to set it up, user account or something like that, And, but of course, like we understand that the best way is self-custody, but we know that's not simple. It's super expensive for our communities, and you need in fact, makes sense if you have a lot of Bitcoin with you, right? Like so. In another hand, you have we created this monster, let's put them this way, which is an ecosystem where you want to get rid of the banks, but then you go to the hands of centralized exchanges, which is kind of the same, right? Like, so you're working with Bitcoin, but your money is with someone that you have no clue what they are doing with your money. And also, and also, like, if you need the money immediately, you might not be able to cash out, So FEDI and FEDMint, they bring like this different concept, which is, okay, we know that it's difficult to do by yourself, living with someone that is not, you have no clue who is not the ideal. So why not to do this within your community, within people that you trust? So let's grab like 4 or 5 or even more people that would hold the keys for the whole community. And this community get together and have the money together, use the money within themselves or out of this, but the custody is safe with them, you can, if you have an issue, you can cross the street and talk with your neighbor about it. It's this level of trust. So we think that this is an opportunity for people to start to understand, and this is also cultural. We tend to not trust on ourselves for things, right? It's much easier just to call someone and blame the manager of the bank or blame the guy that manages the utilities. So in this case, we believe that we're going to start to build a new culture where you can at least hold your money with someone that you trust. And eventually you're going to understand the value of this and you're going to start to do self-custody, right? So what FEDI wants to bring is just this in between. So people can at least have more privacy, can have their money on their own hands, and also they can talk with each other with privacy as well. So it's coming a very powerful app. I'm super excited because I think this is going to help Bitcoin to scale like immensely, as we see WhatsApp, Telegram, growing a lot within communities. That's the potential that I see for FEDI and FEDMint. And I can't wait to see this happen.
Self-custody is a weird thing for me because I'm a really big advocate for it. But I do agree with you in the sense of, on a cultural perspective, where you're dealing with people that are more culturally based outside of the USA. I think outside of America, when you go to Brazil, when you go to Africa, even some places in Asia, the family structure is very important and people share their money. They talk about money more collectively and it's just more of a collective economic circle. And I think that what FEDI is doing, as long as, in my opinion, the Bitcoin is in small amounts, because what people don't realize is that the price structure of Bitcoin that you see on an exchange or on, Bitcoin Magazine, for example, if you see the price of Bitcoin, that price is based on how people emotionally feel about the asset. That's not the true price of Bitcoin. So $5 or $10 of Bitcoin can go a long way in Brazil compared to America or Canada. So holding that, or sharing those private keys, or having a self-custody community like FEDI for $15, $20, $100 of Bitcoin can go so much further than the average American or Canadian would think about it, saying, well, why is FEDI, not allowing people to self-custody on their own? It's a cultural thing that people have to understand. So thank you for breaking that down. That makes perfect sense.
No, and I think also there is something, another element on this is we want Bitcoin to be used. It's not just saving. Saving is a big chunk of this. And that's something Bitcoin has been helping people in Global South a lot, because people are starting to have the chance to finally save money in small portions. Because before, if you were to go to the bank would laugh on you if you would have like $10 to put in your saving account. Or even if you get in the bills and putting like resting for 1 year, when you come back, this money, you wouldn't be able to buy the same as you would buy before, right? So I think Bitcoin is helping people around the globe to understand that now they can send $2, $3 to their, wallets, but also they can use this money, so ideally, for me, the ideal world is going to be one day that we're not going to compare the price of Bitcoin with nothing. It's just you exchanging with people, basically. So it would be, you're not going to think, oh, I'm paying this taxi and it cost me, I don't know, $20 in Bitcoin. It's going to be just, oh, this is X amount of sats and that's it, so we're going to fight for this for sure.
Yes, most definitely. And, hopefully this is resolved by the time this episode comes out. But I'm aware that Brazil is going through a huge political restructuring right now. And it's probably impacting you because you have family there. And my last question to you, Renata, is, its government recently has ordered, the financial institutions there to either hold or seize people's bank accounts that are participating in these mass demonstrations of protests. Do you believe that this kind of closing in of people's financial freedom in Brazil is going to increase the rate of adoption of Bitcoin?
I think, unfortunately, every time you see a crisis in a country, Bitcoin grows a lot, right? Because it becomes like the opportunity, the single way for people to keep their money safe, So when I say unfortunately, because it's like, one way Bitcoin is coming to help, which is great. You have an alternative. But in another way, people sometimes learn from the worst, than in a smooth way, Yeah. So what I understand is Bitcoin can help people abroad, especially we have been, as a Fed, we have been helping people, activists, human rights defenders around the globe, how to use Bitcoin to receive donations against censorship, authoritarian regimes in their countries. And we already know the value of this currency for that. So for me, as in Brazil, Bitcoin right now, it's a means of speculation. Mm-hmm. So, but if you start to seeing the situation where people start to feeling, oh my God, anytime I'm going to lose my money. And by the way, this happened before in Brazil in the 80s, when they frozen all the saving accounts and to restructure the money, the local money. And when they gave the money back, basically, if you would buy, 10 cars, now you would be able, with the same money that you had, you would be able to buy, just the wheel, basically. So people already know what's coming if this happens, So I think this is an opportunity for Bitcoin, an opportunity for Brazilians to understand that this is truly the best way to keep your money safe out of the government. But it's not just restricted to Brazil. We've been learning that people around the globe are right there doing this. Even where I am right now in Canada, people have been doing this as well before. So I think it's just we need to be smart. Before we didn't have a tool, now we have a tool to keep our money with us. So it's the best way to go, I think.
Yes, and Bitcoin is that tool that's going to help people really have a store of value that they can pass on and not have it be seized or squandered by, centralized entities out there. And that's the whole purpose of this protocol and why this protocol is going to change so many people's lives. And I want to thank you, Renata, for kind of being, a conduit to that as, a woman from Brazil, not native to Canada or America. And you're still trying to push the ethos of Bitcoin, which is to, have this be inclusive for everybody and to really help people change the way that they look at money. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. And I think that's the beauty of Bitcoin, right? For Bitcoin, we are a number. So we are not Brazilian, Americans, rich, poor. You don't need to show any proof that you are legit or a person that deserves to join the financial economy, the world economy. It's just we are a number, we are equal, we have the same, levels of benefits that Bitcoin can provide to us. So yes, I love Bitcoin. I love our community, and people can count on me for spread this word for sure.
Yes, yes. So Renata, this Bitcoin conversation has been great. I hope people really learn a lot from this episode. Can you give the audience in the world your social media handles or any future endeavors that you might have that you want people to know about?
Yes, so I'm at Loba Estrangeira, in Portuguese, foreign wolf at Twitter. And you can also find me at the FEDI handles, FEDI BTC. And I invite everyone to learn more about what's coming. Next year is going to be huge for us. So keep tuned, because it's going to be amazing year for everyone that is developing around the value of the Bitcoin, not just the price, basically.
Thank you, Renata, for this conversation, and thank you for being on the Bitcoin Source. Have a good one.
Thank you. Love it. Bye, guys.